Hello and welcome to another installment of the Double Podcast. I'm your co-host Andrew, alongside my fellow co-host Marissa. Marissa, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just finished watch West Indies lose the third ODI, so my mood is great.
Well, I'm happy that your mood is great. I'm actually even happier that you mentioned that you just concluded watching the West Indies in their 3-match ODI series against India, because that's where I think we should begin this evening. So, once again, I hand you the ball and allow you to steam it. But we'll start with the ODI series against India. What are your thoughts?
Honestly, the first two, you saw positive signs, to be honest. I think we were competitive in the first two ODIs, which, to be honest, a team like India, don't mind people may say this is a second string team. A lot of these players are thereabouts in all of their sides, whether it be Test, ODI, or T20 internationals. So this may be a quote unquote B side, but this is still a very, very good India team. And I think for West Indies to be competitive against them in the first two was pretty much all you can ask for as fans. Having said that, though, I think they will probably be bitterly disappointed to have lost both of those games, considering they played themselves into winning positions. But the third ODI, well, we just went back to normal service, resumed with the West Indies. Didn't really put up much of a fight with the bat. But I think if we're looking at a series as a whole, I think there are a lot of positives to take out of it, and they actually did a lot better than I thought they would. I have to say that. I have to be honest and say that.
Well, I must agree with you in terms of they did a lot better than I would have expected them to have, performed. Sorry to say unmotivated. Anyways, I felt that you said both the first two games in the series were competitive, and they did give themselves a chance of winning. So they did get into winning positions, but they were unable to capitalize. I think what I was really looking for was the reasons in terms of water body performance of the West Indies. Made it difficult for them to capitalize on those moments. And in the first ODI game, there are a few things that I pointed out. You could just chime in if you agree with me or you disagree. I felt as though the fielding performance in the first ODI could have been a bit better, touched better by certain players.
A bit. I mean, a lot better. I literally have ragged fielding written down on my notes. Like, it was honestly ragged.
I'm trying to be kind.
And those...
But you said performances were better, right? You were positive about it, so I was feeding off of your energy, right? So
okay.
That's why I said a bit.
Fair enough.
There were a few mistakes in the field. The interesting thing for me, though, is that I took from both games is that definitely what you said in the previous episode. We definitely do seem to be struggling to find a wicket-taking bowler at the start of our innings, and also somewhat about depth.
Yeah.
Right. But yeah, go ahead. I'll let you.
If you realize, we really only take wickets when batsmen come at us. We don't create a lot of wicket-taking opportunities, which is why I think, with the exception of the second ODI, but then again, India were kind of forced to come at us because they were chasing a large total. But I would say in the first one day and in the third ODI, when India batted first, you see that they were able to play themselves into really formidable positions and get to the 30 and 40 over mark with a lot of runs on the board and minimal wickets in hand. We have to give the West Indies credit for pulling it back in that first ODI. I think India was something like 213 for 2 after 33.4 overs when Dhawan got out. So to limit them to only 95 runs in the remaining 16.2 overs was a brilliant effort, considering the amount of wickets India had in hand. But I think Dhawan and Shubman Gill in both the first and the third ODIs were able to lay a platform for India with little fuss. And that, for me, is still, that lack of potency in the bowling is still a major concern for me when it comes to the West Indies.
Um, I agree with what you said. I think that both of them were both the first ODI and the third one today. It seemed as if, like you said, they were able to compel runs at a steady pace, or sometimes even better than a steady pace, reasonably easily, right? And that's a problem. As we both know, if you can get wickets in those first 10 to 15 overs, two or three wickets really sets the team back. And we have
Yeah.
not been able to do that consistently in this series, and that's a problem. So, whilst I share a sentiment, I do want to give the West Indies bowling team effort, credit for the effort in keeping the scores down.
Yeah.
I think that we need to get to a stage where we're able to get some early wickets in games, right?
Yes.
Something I pointed out in the two initial games that we lost, though. The reason I said we do definitely need to find somewhat of depth is that I realized that in both games we changed the depth bowler. The first game it was Shepard, and in the second game it was Calmeres. I'm not going to talk about Calmeres' delivery that gave it assets that I want to give for India. I'll let you do that. But I like Calmeres.
He's not a regular bowler though, so I wanna go in on him too much.
Yeah, but I think he was going for the length delivery, but he got it really, 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 really.
Yeah.
But in the second ODI as well, like, I found that a lot of our bowlers, though, whether it be Hussein or Sam Shepard, I don't really want to go in on Seals either because he's a young guy learning his trade. But a lot of them missed their length a lot.
Yeah.
Really in that second.
Last 10 overs for sure.
Correct. Really, I don't know if start to pressure, the hands get sweaty. I know going on. Squeaky bum time go. They start missing a lot of length, though, Marissa.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, you could say maybe they're not used to being in those positions where they're actually in a good position to win, but I still think as a professional cricketer, there's certain basics of the game you still have to execute. And I just think we are really struggling at the top and at the depth of the innings. And I don't know. And the thing is, what I found interesting is that we talked a lot. Well, we mentioned Jason Holder and we mentioned how he will bring experience in the last episode. But I think we also mentioned that his ODI record of late isn't great. So therefore, bringing him back into the team wasn't going to be a magical solution. And you saw that today. He was very expensive today, and he didn't. I don't think he picked up any wickets, but that game was still so stop-start. Some things may be missing me, but honestly, the bowling is a real concern for the West Indies, and I actually don't know how they're going to address that going forward. I mean, New Zealand on the horizon. That's not going to be an easy series either. So I really don't know.
Yeah, definitely not. But let's not jump too far ahead of ourselves. We do have, I think, 5 T20s to play, right, before the New Zealand series.
Yeah.
Any test matches or no? No test matches, right?
No test.
Oh, good there. But so
but we can't talk about the positives. Oh, go ahead. You talk about Holder.
The thing about Jason Holder, though, is that I agree with you. It's not going to be a magical solution, but again, I feel, this is my personal belief, I think Jason Holder is a rhythm cricketer. He has to have games behind him, and I think that him being expensive early doors, I wouldn't be too concerned about it. I think the more he plays, the more he will, his form will come back.
He had COVID, so yeah.
Correct. But yeah, positives. Yeah, you want to touch on positives?
Yeah, you could start first.
All right, positives. Share hope with the bat. Calmeres' contributions in both games. In key moments, I think Poran again. I was encouraged by some of his batting as well. And the fact that we were able to take the first two ODIs to the final over against a team like India. Like you said, I know that India left home some of the big hitters like Kohli and Bumrah, that's his name, right? Fast bowler, quick bowler.
Yeah, Bumrah, Rohit, all of those sort of people, yeah.
Right, so they left home some big hitters, and I felt that the fact that we were able to take these games to the final over, and like you said, although it's not India's strongest 11, it's still a very, very good 11, right? That are, like you said, on the cusp of breaking into that first 11 anyhow. So to even do so well and to give us some thrilling matches where we're biting our nails at the end, I think is encouraging signs, and hopefully they can build on that.
Yeah, for sure. I think for me, we definitely have to big up Hope. 100 in his 100th ODI. Definitely up
Mhm,
there as one of our best ODI cricketers ever for sure. The amount of hundreds he's compiled already is fantastic to see. But I think for me, one of the biggest positives was in that first ODI to be able to make a 300 plus score without Hope getting runs. To me, that was
mhm.
huge because I think,
Yeah.
as I touched on in last episode, when Shea Hope fails, West Indies collectively fail. But I think the first ODI, you had contributions from Brandon King and you had contributions from Carl Mears. You had people chipping in that were able to take us up to that 300 plus total. I really, really like Mears and Hope at the top of the order. I
Mhm,
think it's a very, very good combination. I think, Hope gets a lot of flat for his strike rate. I don't believe in the flat. I know the game has evolved a lot. But I think Shea Hope making runs is more important than how fast he makes them, especially in this ODI setup. So I think with his pace and then how he paces his innings and then how Mears aggressively goes after the bowling, to me that's a very good partnership for the future. I would like to see Mears carry it on in a Chris Gale style though, because let's not
mhm.
forget Chris Gale is probably, I think, one of our most prolific players ever. He wasn't just a basher; he actually converted a lot of his totals into ODI centuries, and that's why I want. That's the next step I want to see Kyle Mears go. I think for me, one of the biggest positives was good pitches. This is the sort of cricket that people want to pay their money to see, where teams are consistently making those high totals. There's a lot of fun and there's a lot of excitement, and these are the type of pitches that people around the world are playing cricket on, not those things that were played on in Guyana. But I think the pitches producing good cricket was a very, very, very good positive for me as well.
Yeah. Um, I just want to touch on add something to what you said about Calmers and She Hope as an opening partnership. No,
Mm-hmm.
maybe just me. I would prefer to see at least one of them at three nest, than rather than opening batting. But I don't
How
think it's the
comes?
worst idea ever. Um, I will probably Hope. I prefer to see Hope at three because since Hope is kind of like for me, Hope is the batsman that I think needs to bat through the innings, at least
Mm-hmm.
majority orders for us to generally get a solid score. She Hope for whatever reason reminds me of Ramaressa one in a lot of
Mm,
respect in terms of the
I can
responsibility
see
that
that.
he gets in the lineup. So whilst I would like to see him come down the tree, um, unless we get somebody that emerges, you know,
There you go.
to
That's
to
where I was gonna go with my counter
yeah,
argument to that. Because at the end of the day, Bassini's reserves are so thin, he's gonna come into bat within the first 5 overs anyway. So
correct, exactly. So, but I think that yeah, I like the fact I'm not worried about straight rate, like you said, because he seems to be a batsman like the same Sarwan or like the same China Paul who can accelerate when they need to or when they want to.
exactly right.
So it's just about him getting the count of the pitch, getting in and making sure that his shot selection and what's not is, as error free as possible, right?
Right.
Make sure he bats through the innings. I think he needs to I think in most ODI games we would let him to bat since opening batting, we let him bat like 35 to 40 overs at least.
Pretty
Um,
much.
I do agree with you with Mears in terms of if Mears can increase his conversion. So it's not only about getting starts, but I think we can say that for most of the batsmen because Shamar Brooks
Definitely.
need you to kick on, Brandon King
Yeah.
kick on, Paul
Yeah.
Wout when you play
Yeah.
kick on, Paul Ryan too. So
Yeah.
he has a habit of throwing his wicket as well. So
Yeah.
and funny enough, we always tend to throw away the wicket at key moments when we're really looking to accelerate. So I think that is something that needs to be worked on.
I feel that you're reading my notes
No,
because
no,
one of the negatives, one of the negatives I have written down here is shot selection at critical moments is still an issue for the West Indies. And when I look back at some of the dismissals in all three ODIs, I think to myself, did you really need to play that shot, Brandon King? Or did you really need to play that shot, Nicholas Puran, at the time that you did? So I feel like West Indies still need to read the game better and understand that this ball may not be there to hit, and this might not be the time to hit that shot either. So that's something that they need to work on as well.
Another thing that I want to add before we wrap up the our cricket discussion um, is that in terms of bowling, well, we know the feeling needs to improve. The feeling needs to be a bit more consistent, right? We can't be having these odd games, and it always happens at the start of series. Or for example, I found that from time I was watching West Indies play cricket, it is always usually the case where if you get one good, solid, exceptional feeling performance from the team, in next game there's a drop off for whatever reason. We have to
Yeah.
work on that consistency. And in terms of our bowling, I think we've gotten to the stage. I don't have any inside knowledge in the West Indies camp, but I believe they have reached a stage where they do their homework about the batsman's strengths and where these batsmen like to score their runs, etc., etc. I think the next step for our bowlers though is to really become consistent in terms of the plans and executing those plans that they have for certain batsmen. Right, so it's like the bowling, and they're just erratic. Short ball, this
You
stick to the plan.
and the
Stick to the
thing
plan.
about it is, right? Why it's interesting you said that. I think it was in the second ODI. Yes, it was the second ODI where Romario Shepherd had hit Dawan on the helmet,
Yeah,
and I think he got him out with a short ball. Things like that, you want to see more. Just show that you have a plan to settle the batsman. You clearly ruffle his feathers with the short ball. So you said to yourself, you know what, this may be worth a shot, and you got the wicket. So, and don't be afraid to sit. I mean, for me, even if Dawan had hit the ball that he got up to for six, I would have still tried the short ball again because he was clearly rattled by being hit on the helmet. So things
right.
like that, being persistent with plans and sticking to those plans and executing them properly, you're 100% right. As soon as need that's where we need to see a level of consistency now.
Yeah, and we definitely have to become again. I guess as our bowlers gain experience, we definitely need to then start to learn how to adapt because the way how the game is played now and how the batsmen approach batting, especially in the shorter form of the game, is almost as if I think even the fast bowlers have to take on a mindset of a spinner, where you try to outsmart the batsman.
Mm-hmm.
So that I think that has to come in to some of our bowling as well. It's not just about banging the ball short all the time or going at
Right.
express pace, but it's about
Right.
varying our delivery. The whole doing Bravo, you see, maybe delivery traders,
Yeah.
whole trade batsman, be clever. I'll let you see
Yeah.
a bit more of that. I'll be watching T20 series for sure. When
Yeah,
is it
for
starting?
sure. Um, Either Friday or Saturday. It may be
Okay.
Friday though. It
Mhm.
may be Friday.
Sounds
Whenever is
good.
the 29th of July, I think. So Friday.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. I think this would be a good time to just transition into our next phase, our next segment of the discussion, our next chapter, so to speak. And that would be Community Shield preview this weekend. The curtain raiser to the Premier League season.
Ah,
Manchester City, the current reigning, defending, undisputed. That's my best Pohima voice from wrestling for anybody who knows. But yes, reigning, defending, undisputed Premier League champions, Manchester City. I think they've won the title four times in the last 5 years, apparently, right? About that.
apparently.
Yeah. Oh, well, apparently, yes. They've won the title. Give Jackie Jacket and Marissa, don't get salty on me now. They've won the title four times in the last 5 seasons. They need to be commended. And they're going to play the current FA Cup holders and runners up last season, Liverpool FC. Um, sorry, not Wembley, at King Power Stadium in Leicester, because the Women's European Championship finals at Wembley this weekend as well. So,
Okay.
yes, Man City versus Liverpool. First question in Marissa, though. How much significance is this game? Does this game carry for you? Do you think it's going to give you a good insight into what what kind of season will unfold for both teams?
You know what's funny again is that I literally have here in my notes. Is it just a preseason game? Never. Like, people usually look at the Community Shield as the end of the preseason as well, more than the beginning of the next season, because they're still gearing up and doing their preparations. But anything between City and Liverpool can never be just a preseason game or just a game. So I think for sure, um, I think it will be a game of bragging rights.
Mhm.
I think that no matter what 11's Klopp and Pep put out, they will want to win this game. They will want to say, you know what? In City's case, they'll want to say, you know what? We pushing on from last year. In Liverpool's case, they would like to say, you know what? We're still here and we're gonna push you all the way and maybe even overtake you. So I think we will get a lot of insight from the games. Um, for me, I think the advantage is with City
Mhm.
just because they have had less squad disruption. I mean, it sounds weird to say considering they've sold two players,
Right.
but
True that.
I think who's the third?
Zinchenko.
Oh, right, forgot about
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
But
That's shows us what you
I
think of him.
did,
What about you?
I did forget about I did forget about Zinchenko. Anyways, right, I think
Well, actually,
Mane's
four, because don't
loss,
forget they also lost Fernandinho as well. So continue.
but he didn't really get
He
sent
was a
off.
soul, but it's still a big part of their first
That's true.
team.
That's true. That's true. But I still feel that Liverpool. Then you just totally negate my point about less squad disruption. But I just feel like because Mane for me is more key to Liverpool than any of those players that you just mentioned were key for City. I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's going to be an interesting watch, and that's why I think City may have the advantage, in my opinion. But I do think the game will provide some interesting insights into where both teams are at heading into the new season. And I expect a competitive game. I will not be surprised if this game goes to penalties, to be honest. I
Okay,
see a 2. I see a 2-2.
interesting. You see a 2-2, or you hoping for a 2-2?
Me, I could care less when two of these teams playing, to be honest.
Mhm. All right. Well, is the game significant? Yes, I believe. I share your sentiment. I share your belief. You do concur. I do think the game is significant, because it's against Manchester City, Liverpool's, biggest um, title rivals, right? Trophy rivals. And I don't want to say they're the only threat, because I do think Chelsea is going to be thereabouts. I do think Tottenham will be a challenge. I think Man U will be better this season. I think Arsenal has the potential to be better. So it's a very competitive league, as you know, right? So the game is going to be significant. I think, I agree. I think that the starting 11s on Saturday will give us a clue into both managers thinking in terms of their strongest 11. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
for
do,
sure.
I do expect Klopp though to go with a similar front three in terms of Salah, Diaz, and maybe Firmino as opposed to Nunes. I don't think Nunes will start, but I do expect City to
Not
start
even
with Haaland.
Jota? You
Jordan
don't
hasn't
think
played,
Jota will
hasn't
start?
played for preseason. He's been injured. He has a little knock, so he's
Oh,
definitely
okay,
not in
okay,
contention. You
okay.
know, so I think it would Bobby Diaz and Salah at the front three, and I think Nunes will probably see Nunes at some point in the second half, maybe half an hour or so. Um, providing there's no injury or anything like that. I like the point you made about Mane though, in terms of Mane being key to what Liverpool did. And you know how I feel about Sadio. Remember, Sadio, my favorite Liverpool player besides Trent. And
Yes, yes.
I actually know for a long time I was the only person in Barbados probably arguing that Sadio is a better footballer than Mohamed Salah, right? How the whole chickens have come home to roost. But
Well, they may come home to roost yet. They come home to roost yet.
but on the way.
Yeah.
But I feel the game is going to be competitive. I think that, like you said, both teams are going to be, it's a basic idea for both teams to get a sense of where each other's at. Because I think that both teams, before the season, begins, so we're going to be looking at each other and saying, all right, well, this is the biggest threat to me being successful in this campaign as it
Yeah.
approaches. So I think from that standpoint, yeah, it's going to be significant. It's going to mean a lot. I think both teams would like to win the match. I do believe, though, that I don't want to say it's irrelevant to the actual outcome of the campaign, but in many ways it kind of is, because I don't think that whatever the result, unless someone gets hammers 5-0 or whatever the case would be, I don't think that either team should take too much confidence from winning the game or be too disappointed, or be too or have their confidence not so much that they're deflated by losing it. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, title in most cases will not be decided by Liverpool versus Manchester City. I think it's going to be decided by the other games that they play, and this one look at the season. I look at it in this perspective. I actually don't believe that Liverpool and Man City, to a certain extent, are that far or million miles ahead of Chelsea, Tottenham. I'll tell you why.
I'm
Can I give you an
sorry.
example? Can I
What?
tell you why? Can I tell you why? Can I tell you
Sure.
why?
Go ahead. Go
Sure,
ahead.
you can argue against it for the moon. I love the fact that you in a combative mood. Here's why. We played Chelsea 4 times last season. We am in a game besides the Pancakes in the finals. We drew at Anfield when you all play with 10 men. And we drew in the game against Stamford Bridge. Actually, and we can argue the game at Stamford Bridge, the 2-2 in Christmas time. I think you're already better team, correct?
Correct.
Exactly. And the games in the cup final, both games, it wasn't that either team were bad or both teams were good. It's just that no one could find a winner, right? So I think Chelsea's capable of being competitive. Tottenham, we didn't defeat Tottenham last season. Either we drew in December against them 2-2, and then we drew at Anfield 1-1. And we could also argue that Tottenham had the best chance when the game later on. I can't remember who passed. Some boy should have scored. Should have shot the ball. It was Højbjerg, and he tried to look for a pass.
Yeah,
Instead,
I remember.
I ended right at the end again. You understand?
Yeah.
Okay, I think we're probably better than Arsenal because we beat them convincingly in both games. Fine, cool. Man U, it was Ole. That was like a gimme. You ain't get many in their seasons. You know what I mean? No disrespect to Man U, but at the end of the day, your manager did not know what he was doing. Kadir. So, but I think with how you will see that that difference in, come back up. Against when City played Chelsea last season, although City won, I think your tactics were a bit too negative against City for whatever reason. But against Tottenham, when Conte, actually before Conte came in and then after, I think Tottenham won both games. So it tells me that in one-off games, these teams can't compete. So it's not. I don't think that Liverpool or City are minimums away from the other teams. I think it's just a simple case where they have an ability to be more consistent against the other teams that in games that you're expected to win. You get what I'm saying? So I think that if Conte has the effect on Tottenham that we expect him to have, where there are less drop points against the teams that we're expected to beat. For example, I think Ten Hag is going to aim for that outcome as well. And if Chelsea can get on track with their signings and their attitude to the game every weekend, because I think what a lot of people don't realize is that it's easy to play against a Liverpool. It's easy to play against a Manchester City. It's easy to play against Chelsea. You want to wait because that's the biggest game of the weekend, and they won't play. I be sharp at training. They come in full tilt, right?
Yeah.
That's the biggest game for me. When they go come Saturday or Sunday, and we all know what it feels like to go to work. We may love our job, but we don't want to be there every Monday to Friday. But when they come Sunday night, go out play, kiss me till Bournemouth. I turn up when I see you call that team for me. Bournemouth. I turn up when I see.
I was gonna call Norwich, but they get relegated.
They get relegated. Okay, good. But that would have been.
I don't want to call Brighton. Let me call Southampton. Let me use
Okay,
Southampton.
good. No disrespect, and there's no disrespect to those sides. But I think the problem that Chelsea and Tottenham and those teams have is their mindset as heightened for those opponents as it is for the top opponents. And I think that's really strength of Pep and Klopp is that they're able to get their teams to play consistently well enough most weekends. I think the only difference that Klopp and Pep has really made the league is that can't really afford to drop points.
Yeah. I actually agree 100% with that point. I still disagree with you. I think that Liverpool and City are still miles ahead, especially when it comes to their mentality, when it comes to how well they're coached. And this is no disrespect to any of the other teams or their coaches. It's just I still think that y'all are still way ahead. But I actually agree with that last point you made. And I think it's a really good point because I remember watching Chelsea against Real Madrid at the Bernabeu in last season's Champions League, where we played excellently. I think we became the first English side to ever beat Real Madrid at home, ever. And I told myself, we might.
You weren't the first. You weren't the first.
You sure? You
Liverpool did it
sure?
in, Liverpool did it in 2009. Benjamin won out. But go on to you. Maybe second.
All right.
But
All right.
21st.
Thanks.
Okay,
Thanks
go
for
on.
correcting me. Thank you so
Sure.
much.
My pleasure.
Anyways, but I think I remember watching that game, and even though I was really sad and disappointed, I told myself, why can't Chelsea play like this every week? If Chelsea play like this every week, we beat most teams. But there
Mhm.
comes a time when you just see the levels drop against the lower sides, and I don't like that. To me, it says that your mentality is poor, and if you want to become title winners or title challengers for that matter, your mentality cannot be like that. It cannot be. Like you said, play Liverpool 4 times. 4 times. And the thing is, you remember, I don't know if you remember, when we were at Bubba's watching that first game against between Chelsea and Liverpool and how
Mhm.
that ended. You remember me telling you, I feel that Liverpool and Chelsea can play each other a lot this season. There was
Yeah, you
just
did. Yeah.
something. There was just something about that game that tell me, yeah, this is unfinished business, and we can go at it this season a lot of times. And we did, and not once did y'all beat us because our levels were way better than they are normally. Look at that 4-1 defeat against Brentford. That
Mhm.
how can you lose 4-1 to Brentford, but you have Liverpool coming in your background and you go toe to toe with them? It says a lot about the attitude. And for me, I am seeing it as well in Chelsea's preseason, and I don't like it. That's why I'm really not optimistic about the season. But that's a whole other conversation. But for me, I need Chelsea's mentality. I don't care about the other teams very much.
Mhm.
But I need Chelsea's mentality to be better, because that is what is going to, as much as we want signings and stuff to close the gap, we also need to have that sort of mentality that the top two sides in England have right now, and we don't have it. So I think that that's a very good point you made.
I just want our viewers to know that the unfinished business that Marissa is referring to is Rich James getting sent off a handball in that first game.
Oh,
Right?
yes,
That's
Chris.
the unfinished business
Why,
that Marissa
why,
talking
why
about.
you, why you can bring that up right now?
Because
Why,
it's
why
true.
you get,
I know it's an
why you
honest
can
man.
rile me up right now by talking about that?
I'm an honest
No.
man. And I want people to know that in the unfinished business, the only unfinished business is that Marissa felt as though, she was dealt a rough hand, that our decision should not have stood, yada, 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 yada. Right? That's the unfinished business she referring to.
You can move on now. You can move on. You can move
Right.
on now.
And anyhow, in terms of the game though, I expect a very, very closely contested match. I also think that it's going to finish all square after 90 minutes, maybe 2-2. I'll go for that score as well. Um, and then Alisson hasn't played since the first pre-match game either, so I am assuming Adrian will be embarrassed since Kelleher has also had a bit of a niggle. So
Okay.
I sense Adrian Burrs. I guess City will make City kind of favorites. If it does go to penalty shootouts,
You're funny.
so we'll see. We'll see. I I think I actually watched all of Liverpool's preseason games so far, and I do believe that with each game, the youngster in the nest has looked a lot fitter,
Mm-hmm.
a lot sharper. But I do think it's going to take some time for him to get used, and for us to get the previous installment of Liverpool, the players that were there prior. I do think it's going to take a bit of time to get used to him as well, because he's a different type of striker to what Liverpool originally, had.
Right.
Um, so that's going to be interesting. But I do expect Liverpool to be at least competitive this year. I don't know what they'll win. I do hope they win something bigger than what they won last year, obviously. But yeah, I think City will be their usual, competitive self. Definitely be thereabouts. I think Haaland will be once he stays injury free. I think Haaland will be a very very um, quality addition to their team, and I think he will excel in the Premier League, score a lot of goals. Yeah, City is going to be a difficult challenge. But I'm just making the point that I don't think it's because if you look at the squads, like if you compare Liverpool squad to Chelsea squad, in certain positions, yeah, but in certain positions, you will make an argument that Chelsea got on par, or at least probably better. I
Let me
I
hear
I
what that
walking
position
about
is.
what those positions are.
Yes,
I
please.
walking about I walking about with Henderson navigating in midfield. Who you talking about? And Bobby
Yeah,
Firmino.
and you also have Fabinho and Thiago in that midfield.
Yeah, but for
Come
me
again.
as a whole, Thiago, yeah, Thiago's not gonna play every game, but but Thiago, yeah, he's quality. But
Chelsea
yeah,
needs a
okay,
defensive midfielder.
we got Angola.
Angola is not a defensive midfielder right now.
With me right now, we playing his number 8.
Was he ever? In fact,
Yes,
that's
he
a
was.
conversation we need to have.
Yes, he was. I think so. I think Angola is a combative midfielder, right? But I think his best position is as a holder. Um,
Hmm.
the guy who's the primary ball winner in the team. I think it just happens that he has more, strength to his ball. And when Sarri came in, Sarri started playing further forward. And then having brought in Jorginho, who wants to play as he sits and wants to get the ball from back four, it meant that Kante had a change in position. But I do think Kante is actual, but I do think the team needs Jorginho, as well, to be honest. So, but yeah, that's a different discussion for another night, I suppose.
Yes.
So we have our prediction for the Community Shield. I do believe that after Community
Yeah,
Shield, we will.
we didn't say who will win after on penalties.
Well, I'm interested in that. All right, go ahead.
Whatever.
Who you going for? I gave Liverpool. I'm a Liverpool fan. I feel like if it goes to penalties, I will be a savage man against my team. So I gave with the men in red.
I personally believe that because when the losers couldn't lose one penalty shootout against Chelsea, y'all can choose to lose one on Saturday. So I believe City will win on penalties because
Fair,
that's just how Liverpool are.
interesting. Fair enough. Well, the good news though is that that's not the only big game we have to look forward to this weekend. The next day on Sunday,
Yes.
the Women's European Championship final. England at Wembley Stadium. England versus Germany. I'm also hearing that it's already sold out. Brilliant
Old
news.
enemies.
Great, the old fools. Are we going to talk about semifinals first before the final, or what?
Yeah, definitely.
All right, you kick us off.
I want to hear your thoughts on England Sweden though. Let me see if you're not syncing up with mine again.
Oh, Lord. I have my notes taken out with yours. But I'll try my best. I thought Sweden started the game pretty good. I actually thought Sweden looked the better team for the first 15, 20 minutes. England got the goal against run of play, and then I still felt England seemed to gain a bit of confidence going ahead. I still felt as though Sweden carried the track, but then I think the real sucker punch in Sweden got was conceding. After the
Halftime.
resumption of the second half. Immediately after the resumption second half, Sweden concedes and goes 2-0, and then I think it just built up a head of steam.
You were so close to sinking up. I slightly disagree. I actually think when that first goal went in, Sweden were rattled and they never recovered, in my opinion. Because England actually had a good 2-3 opportunities to score a second goal before halftime. But they just seemed almost like they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that even that after being on top and really snuffing out a lot of England's threat, they couldn't believe they conceded and they just looked shell shocked. And I was disappointed. I mean, I was really disappointed because I really wanted Sweden to go all the way. But pardon?
Why did you want Sweden to go all the way?
Oh, because Chelsea's captain plays for them. And I like it.
Listen, leave out the club subjectivity. We're talking about international one.
Technically, it's not even club subjectivity because England has more Chelsea players than Sweden. It's just, just how it is. But anyways, I just
hit my head.
They disappointed me with their response to going or go down. It just they never carried a threat for me after that. But I want to talk about I want to talk about Rousseau though. I mean, 4 goals in the Euros, all from the bench. That's amazing. She always comes on and makes an impact. Always. I think it's impressive.
Well, but honestly, I was going to mention that when we talk about the final in actuality, right?
Okay.
Because there is a very okay, sure. Okay, the other semifinal was a bit earlier today. France versus Germany. Germany won 2-1, I believe, in 90 minutes. Yeah, in full time.
Yeah.
So I actually like the style of football that France plays.
Tell me
I think
that
France
this
has
wasn't the game of the tournament for you, though.
it was it was a very very captivating game. Um, I felt as though the difference between teams is a bit of experience and a bit of know-how. I think you saw. I know. Okay, I know it's different incarnations of the team, right? I know it's not like you same players from way back when, but it just had the sense of Germany, have made this stage on so many occasions. We know how to get past this phase. We know how to jump over this hurdle. Whereas France now trying to learn how to get over that hurdle. Because I think France were really, really good in the game. I thought that
Yeah, they were.
France created a number of opportunities at 1-1.
Yeah.
To get the go ahead goal, and just kind of some good last ditch defending from Germany. Some good blocks and some near misses, but France just gonna get it, get across the line, and then Germany corner, pop, goal, and then after that you saw Germany's know-how and
Yeah.
game intelligence in terms of the little buying free kicks and just disrupting the game and stopping France from playing the type of end-to-end game that they want to play.
Yeah.
So and then eventually you got a sense that at the end France kind of ran out it is the last 5 or so minutes, but.
Yeah.
I think that this run to the semifinal will only put France in good stead, and I think that the Women's World Cup is next year, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that France would be one to watch next year at that tournament.
Yeah, I agree. I think Pop has been excellent for Germany. Everybody's talking about Beth Mead, but she has the same goals as Beth Mead now in the tournament. She always shows up when needed. That finish for the first goal was fantastic. And I also want to single out the girl in midfield, Lena Oberdorf. I
Right.
think that she's a very good player, very very good player, and she's only 20. I think that battle in midfield between, I guess, the two holding midfielders, so to speak, her and Walsh from England, is going to be very interesting in the final. So I guess we could transition right now into our thoughts on the final.
Okay. Well, you're back in the girls in white.
And
The three
I
lions.
back in the girls in, white and black.
Man,
This is
could back
so
me.
interesting.
Listen,
Both
you
of
could
our
back me.
teams have made the final.
It's true. I know. We should watch again together.
Interesting.
But
And then somebody ended up crying at the end of it.
once you want butter, I did the joke.
Funny,
Um,
funny, funny.
but I expect it to be a very, very close game. I think I do not expect the same 6-2 result from the last time they played. I think England made a final before against Germany and lost 6-2. I do not expect it to be that one-sided of an affair.
Definitely not.
I
I remember both teams have only conceded once in the entire tournament. So it's
correct.
gonna be tight.
I I think England's banking on their ability to score because they have a lot of firepower up front and they seem to always find a way to get goals.
Mm-hmm.
I feel Germany again will be banking on their big player, Miss Pop, and I think that Germany will be banking on their experience and know-how. And it's interesting. This is the point I was going to make about the two teams going in the final. I feel as though Germany is a old head, old experience head, and I feel that England's difference has been the bench and the ability to use the bench and change things if it's not going right, and find some sort of impact from off the bench, right? And I think a lot of it. I honestly don't know. If I'm being honest for a second, I don't know which way this is going to swing. I think I do accept our knowledge that England has some momentum. England has the home support of the fans, but then again, I think Germany has momentum as well because it's not like Germany drew a bite to get here. They beat good teams too. So
Yeah.
I expect it to be really really close. But I'm I'm just gonna give the edge to England. I think it's about time England actually got across the line. And what did they say? Bring football home. Football's coming home. That what they're singing.
Oh gosh, don't make
You
me cringe.
you can cringe as much as you like, but football can't home, man. Continue.
Ah, moving on. I agree with you though. I actually don't know where this is gonna go. Um I think there were times today Germany looked really open against France, which scares
Mm-hmm.
me against England's attack. That's the truth. But like you said, there's experience, and I feel a team like Germany, if you put a team like Germany in Sweden's position, and Germany would have scored at least once in that spell that Sweden was on top against England.
Mm-hmm.
Because they just know how to put the ball in the back of the net, in my opinion. But this game is gonna be so tough. So tough. England's back four has looked oh, impenetrable at times. Not that they you can't get at them, like some teams have showed. Spain and Sweden actually have shown,
Right.
but I think the midfield battle is going to be so key. And I think it's going to be such a great game. But I mean, of course, I'm back in Germany. I want Germany to win, but I genuinely cannot give a prediction. I genuinely cannot. But I think whoever, I mean, this is so cliche to say. I was going to say whoever wins deserves to win. But I mean, everybody deserves to win a tournament if they win it. Let's face it. They had to beat teams to get there.
Right.
But it's just something about these two teams. These two teams have definitely been the best two teams in the tournament, hands
Mm-hmm.
down. And the winner, whoever wins, is going to be definitely deserved. So I mean, to me, I won't be bitter if Germany loses because I actually do like England. I like the type of football that they play under their manager. Maybe Gareth Southgate had take some tips. Um, but Germany also plays some good football as well. I just think it would be a great game.
I
And
think
must
what
I say, must I be a woman here and point out we're
uh
having a women's Euros with two teams who are coached by women. I think that that's awesome.
yeah,
I think that that's awesome.
should be celebrated.
Yeah.
Um, but what I want to add is I think what is going to turn out to be, I think that if Germany can negate the influence that a Frank Kirby or Georgia Stabid
Mm,
do have on England's,
mm,
play going forward and Lucy Bronze, if they
mhm,
can negate that threat that they offer,
mhm.
um, I think Germany has a chance, well, really, really big chance of the game swinging in their favor.
And that's
Yeah,
why I said the midfield battle is crucial because
right.
Kirby was excellent. Stanley has been brilliant all tournament, and Kirby was excellent against
Excellent against
Sweden.
Sweden. Yep, she
That's
was.
my girl. That's
Yeah,
my Chelsea. That's my
she really
Chelsea
stood up
girl.
against Sweden.
Yeah.
Um, and I think like I think Germany's game plan. I think that Germany can win. Please wait. I think Germany can win the game with the 11 that they start with.
Mm-hmm.
I think that England can win the game with the 11 that they start with as well. But I think that England's like feather in the cap has always been if our starting 11 is ineffective, we can change things. We can throw Alexa Russo on. We can throw Nikita Paris on. We can throw these players on and say see if some mistakes.
Mm.
But I think that Germany's defense has the ability, though, if England are not careful, to stifle that plan even. I think that although England's bench has been important, I can see Germany's defense withstanding that pressure as well.
Yeah.
I do put a lot of credit to Germany's defense in that respect.
Yeah.
There's another point that I want to make. Let me see if I remember what it was.
Wait,
I
before
think
you make
very,
that
very good.
point, will
Yeah.
you remember
Mhm.
something I noticed today that I think would be interesting to see if it carries forward? I found that even though Germany were open at times, they their recovery runs were excellent. Like there was a point where there was this player from France that was in the box, and you saw like 4 or 5 Germany players around her, and just they nicked the ball off of her, and then were able to play. Oh, it's like even though they find themselves exposed, they always recover, and they defend well as a unit and as a team. So I think that that will also be interesting to watch against England as well, who's good at taking advantage of defensive lapses.
Right. Agreed. And I did remember what point I was going to make. And this is the point. I think that as much as England have momentum and they will have the home support of, a raucous Wembley, I do believe that sometimes that can work against you. Let's be
Mm,
realistic. England haven't won a major tournament in football since the 66 World Cup. So there's a lot of expectation. There's a lot of desire to,
hmm.
whether it be men or women, to bring home something.
Yeah.
And we always get a sense out, especially in these last couple of years where the English teams have gone, further into, or deep into tournaments. You always get the sense that, it gets a fever pitch level. And I feel as though if it's not going well, at some point on Sunday, will the crowd get a bit nervous and will that nervous energy transmit on the players? I think that can
Mm.
have an effect. I think that, I would not, I hope that England are mentally prepared as well. Because, the last thing that, as much as they rely on their bench, and this is the thing, you don't want to become a sense where you get a sense that they rely on the bench again, or they try to utilize the bench, but it's, it's a bit more out of desperation as opposed to game plan,
But I
which
think
can happen.
their manager is going to be key in that because remember the last Euros, she was
Mm-hmm.
managing a team also playing at home.
Right.
So I think that experience. I mean, obviously she can't be out there with them kicking the ball, but I think that she can keep them calm.
Okay.
And we'll see.
Yeah.
I just think it's going to be a fantastic. I mean, honestly, it has extra time and penalties written all over it.
Yeah.
So we'll
Yeah.
see how it
I actually
goes.
think it's going to extra time. And any score prediction for you, Marissa?
I think Germany will win on penalties.
I'm going to go for England. Oh, Lord. The last time I made this prediction, I was wrong. The only game that I actually predicted the wrong winner was in the quarterfinal stage was the France Netherlands game, if you remember. I got
Yeah.
everything else right. So hopefully I'm not wrong here. But my prediction is that I don't think it's going to go to penalties. I think that someone will find the winner in extra time. And I think
Mm.
that someone hopefully will be the English. And I'm going to say 3-1 to England after extra time.
Wow.
So I think England will get 2 goals in extra time. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
I clinch it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see who comes out on top, both with the prediction and the team.
Correct. I can't wait till we get the video recording so that when my predictions are right, I can come on here and gloat, put on my glasses and put on
Oh
a
my
nice
god.
shirt, get a cigar. I don't smoke, but I get a cigar just for the occasion. So I'm buying a glass of wine and be like, yeah, no, too much.
Way too much.
We'll see about that. But yes, Marissa, this has been a wonderful discussion, a wonderful debate at times. And listeners, thank you for joining us again. This has been another installment of the GOAT podcast. Please join us next time.